Welcome to No Fun Channel. I am Felix, and today I want to talk about relationships, financial stuff. I forgot what I was going to say there, but financial relationships, I guess you could say, and some celebrity entertainment news. Let's start off with the Sydney Sweeney ad. I looked at it and thought, you guys put way too much stock into this. Trying to call it out, and it looks like it started with like extreme feminists who gave it too much credit for doing something that it really wasn't doing, and people just jumped on it. And the truth is, if they hadn't given it the press that it got, it probably just went on away. Then people started making fun of Sydney Sweeney's looks and all this stuff, and it's just like, it's like you guys were, pretty much whipping it out every time she's around. Now you're making fun of her looks. It's like, well, you're flip flopping again. But yeah, her ad is no more, is no worse than a lot of other jean ads, especially in the 80s and 90s. They even started talking about Brooke Shields' ad. Now the difference between Brooke Shields' ad and Sydney Sweeney's ad is, I believe she was 15 when her ad came out, and it was very sexual. And I believe that's why a lot of people were like, whoa, she's like 15. So that one I get. But the others, there's so much more suggestive ads from that time frame, the 80s and 90s, that are way worse, and I mean way worse than her ad, that no one batted an eyelash at. So then again, maybe they did, but we didn't have the internet back then like we do now. If the internet had been around back then, it might be a different story. So yeah, you never know. So my thing is, they shouldn't have read so much into it. And people comparing it to the arm raisers, and it's just like, I didn't get that. I got what they were trying to go for, and then again, they could have been going for that, but still, it's like, sometimes it is best to ignore a situation. Because the more press it gets, the more people are going to cover it. I mean, even nobody like me is talking about it. And it's just funny to me that so many people like read into it. And it's like, then I was telling my daughter, I said, I wonder if the company was behind the whole anti-hate on the campaign. Maybe they tip someone off, say, hey, go hate this campaign. And then boom, blew up. You'd be surprised. That's actually happened before, where they orchestrated the whole thing, the hate for it and everything. So it does work. There's the old saying, any press is good press. If you know how to swing it in your favor, yeah, pretty much any press can be good press. But yeah, I just thought that was hilarious. And then the Joey Swole incident. He posted a picture where he dressed up like Hulk Hogan and said, "Rest in peace, legend." And I believe something about inspired him to work out. Here's the thing. So many people got mad about that. It's like, I don't understand why you get mad. It's like, yes, he was a horrible person, and if you actually read what Joey wrote, if that's all he wrote, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, if someone inspired me to work out, I probably was still thankful for inspiring me to work out, if they passed away. And that's all it was. The problem comes when Joey tried to explain himself, and he dropped the ball so bad. He took the ball and punted it into orbit, just straight up. It's just like, dude, there are several ways you can handle it, and the way you handle it is not one of the ways you should have handled it. One is, he could have just said nothing and just moved on. Two, he could have said, look, if you went back and looked at it, all I did was say, thank you for inspiring me. He's the reason I got into working out. He's the reason I do what I do. And moved on. Without even an apology, just moved on. And the third way is, he could have addressed the racism, because pretending like you don't know what he did is just even worse. And it's not that he said it 10 years ago. It's like he's been doing that for a long time. It turns out he was like that the whole time. And he didn't change toward the end, because he had nothing to do with his daughter, who dated a black guy, from what I understand, one time. He just disowned her, and that was that. He never tried to reach out to her or anything. So, yeah, he was not a nice person. And he had an affair with his best friend's wife. So it's like he was a selfish individual. So pretend like you didn't know what he did or what he's doing. It was a cop out. He should have addressed it. Said, I understand the kind of person he was, but that doesn't change the fact he inspired me to work out. And the one time or the few times I met him, he was nice to me, and he could say personally, I have nothing bad to say about it, and moved on. I think the problem is he let his racist views take over. He allowed his emotions to take over, and he destroyed everything. It's clear he did not have a publicist. If he did, he needs to fire them. Because if I was his publicist and he told me he's going to go live and address it, I'd be like, no, do not do that on live. Do not go live. Do not, under any circumstances, go live and talk about this. If it comes up, just put, yes, he passed away, and move on. Or better yet, don't do the live. Skip the live. Just don't do the live. If people paid for the live, I don't know if it was a paid live or what. Some people do that. Refund the money. Do not do the live under any circumstances. And I would have told him, we're going to do a video, but we're going to control the video. We're going to edit the hell out of the video. We're going to write you a script, and we'll make the video one continuous video once we get everything ironed out and get exactly what we want you to say down. And then a month later, you can do the live. Let it die down. So that's what I say. If he has a publicist, he needs to fire him, or the publicist needs to quit if he didn't listen. Because it's like, if he still did the live after all that, I'd be like, dude, I quit. You just destroyed everything. I'm out later. And the fact he thought saying collared was okay. He shouldn't have said. Like I said, he got angry and screwed himself. Yeah, don't do that. Don't get mad and go making videos and then be like, crap, I just destroyed everything. That was self-sabotage. You self-sabotage yourself. You were being an idiot. But those are the two main things that I wanted to touch on, and I just think it's hilarious how both of these things could have been avoided by one, just by ignoring it, and two, actually both could have been avoided by just ignoring everything. But yeah, it just goes to show sometimes it's best to just keep your mouth shut. But I wanted to talk about relationships in the sense that I saw a thing where they were asking men and women, the men were, if you got 80%, like if you had a list and a woman you met 80% of the things on your list, would you be okay with it? And the men were like, yeah. Like the majority of men were like, yeah, that's awesome. 80%. Yeah. And the majority of women were like, no, I want it all. And I was just like, one, that's not new. I've heard that before. Women saying they want it all. And a lot of those women who do that are the ones who are single, complaining about there's no good men. And then they start off in their 20s thinking that, and now they're in their 50s going, we're all the good men. And they got a bunch of kids, and they go back looking at that one guy who tried to ask them out, who wasn't doing well at the time. And now they're trying to get with him, and he's like, no, I don't want to take care of your 5 kids. Get away from me. And before anyone gets thinking, oh, it must be all black women. No, this is white, black, every race there is. Especially if they're in America. It's like, you chose not to settle. So either now you got a bunch of kids with different men, or you're single, no kids, and you're all by yourself. Because you chose not to settle. You chose not to give an inch in any way, shape, or form. You chose not to compromise. As a result of that, you're by yourself. Now, that's not to say men don't do that. Like I said, the majority of men were happy with 80%. And as for those men who wanted it all, well, they're single and by themselves too. But there is a difference I've noticed for men versus women when that happens. Men, what I've noticed is if they wind up like in their 50s, single, no family, they usually just go, oh well. I'm not saying they all go, whoop, oh well, but a lot of them do, and they just live with it and they move forward. And it's like they knew the choices they made, they accepted their choices, and now they're living the consequences of their choices. versus some women who will get angry that they're single, but they blame everyone but themselves, and that comes down to the accountability. Again, it's not all women. That's something I always tell my daughter, that the internet only represents a small percentage of Americans. And so in these relationship things online, they only represent a small percentage of women. Because if it represented all women, there'd be a lot less children in the world. There actually would be. Because a lot of these women wind up single and no kids, no nothing. And so if that was the case, there'd be a lot less children in the world. So it's a small percentage. But out of that small percentage, I do see these things where these women are raised to not take accountability, and then they raise the men who treat women like crap, because these men as boys saw the way their mother got treated and thought, well, my mom liked that, women must like that, and that's how they treat women. And I saw a TikTok where a guy was like, a man who stays straight beating women always got a woman to beat. And I was like, they do. It's like, they really do. It's like, every time you turn around, they're in a new relationship and they've already started beating that woman and she won't leave. And it's like, the worst part is a lot of times these men have the reputation of beating women and women still get with them. It's like, why are you with that person? He beat the crap out of the last 4 women. He put one in the hospital and paralyzed one of them. And it's like, and you just know you're the one that can change him. It's like, and that's like where they talk about men just go and have babies and leave. It's like, no. One man is going around having a bunch of babies and leaving and having babies with different women. Because the majority, because you're always talking about all these men are having babies, like, no, we're not. Like, I have 2 kids with the same woman, and I'm married to her and been with her for 22 years. And a lot of guys out here I'll see were like, I don't have any kids. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, you go and find out that the guy that the woman had kids with had 6 other kids before she came along and still chose to get with him, knowing that he doesn't take care of any of his kids. So no, you're dating the same a-hole. It's not all men, it's that one guy. So yeah, let's cut that out. But also, you know, I was watching a video about guys who were angry because the women didn't want anything to do with them and all this stuff. They were just mad. And what I found funny was a lot of these guys weren't unattractive. They might have been a little out of shape, but they weren't unattractive. And that's when I remembered, or, you know, when you watch these videos, sometimes you forget little things. You kind of go numb. And that's when I remember, it's them. It's their personalities. Because there are people with horrid personalities who still get laid. But their personalities were psychotic. They gave off an air of creepiness. Like, watching the video, I'm just like, dude, you're creeping me out. It's like, stop talking. It's like, what is going on that you're like this? That you're giving off this energy of, I need to hide my children from you type of energy. Or I need to hide away from you in general. You know, if I see you, I need to run in the opposite direction and cross the street and move to another planet. It's like, you're just giving off bad energy. Like, you're giving off, I'm going to kill everyone because the girl rejected me energy. That's why you can't get a girlfriend. You need to go talk to someone about that. It's like, that's why you can't get a girl. Just, it's like, what are you doing? And then if you ever watch some of these guys, they're so creepy. They're trying to imitate the guys who do get the girls, the way they operate. And it's like, dude, you're just creepy. Stop that. And it's just, you're just like, I watched, there was that one guy, I can't think of his name. Adam Preach used to watch him a lot. He would go on dates, and I used to think, this has got to be staged. I haven't seen him lately, but I always felt like it was kind of staged. There was too much to it, if that makes any sense. That's not to say there aren't guys out there like him, but I don't know. Something about it seemed off, like it was kind of staged. But either way, he would be a perfect example of what I mean. Is like he was trying to imitate what he saw other people doing. And he would always be the guy friend, and then he tried to take it a step further, and the girl would just be like, no. But yeah, I think he lived in like Utah or something. It was one of those Mormon areas. But yeah, it's just like, no, you're just creepy. And the truth is, you should work on yourself. Talk to someone, talk to a professional, and get some help. But yeah, it's just stop being creepy. And also wanted to talk about finances. Financially, I am not doing good these days, unfortunately. And one of the things that popped in my head is that there's a lot of people who live paycheck to paycheck, and it's getting worse. There's more and more people that live paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of people make good money, and they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Like me and my wife, if we made the money we have now back when we first met each other, we probably would have been fine. But the problem is, each time we get ahead, it's like we pay off a bill and 6 more bills will pop up. We save up $1,000. Like, for real, like we saved up, I think I just talked about this in the last podcast, but we save up $1,500. Like we saved up close to $2,000, maybe even a little more. All right, we got this cushion. Boom, car broke down, wiped us completely out. I think we had like $10 left after we paid off getting the car fixed. And a lot of people were like my mom and sister and some other people were like, oh, it's a good thing you had that cushion, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, but the point was we literally just saved up that money and it got wiped out the next day. And so, yeah, we're mad. We didn't even get a chance to like add to it or anything. And we haven't been able to really save up the money anymore because every time we turn around, there's a new bill. And it's just, and then recently we did, I just said we haven't been able to save. We did actually manage to save a few bucks. And again, wiped right out. And that's the problem. I think that's the point that a lot of people are missing is that, yes, we had the cushion, but we wanted to be able to build up on top of that. And we can't. Because every time we turn around, a new bill comes along and just wipes us out. And that's the problem. We want excess. We need the excess money. So if a $1,500 bill pops up, we can pay it off, but still have a little cushion in case something else pops up. That's what we've been trying to do. It's like have a little extra on top of the extra in case something else happens. So that way, say we have $3,000 to save up, $1,500 bill pops up, boom, we still got $1,500, and we can start building on top of that again. So if another $1,500 bill pops up, boom, we got it. And may say we only have $1,000 this time, but we can still build on top of that, and that's what we were trying to do. Never happened, and it was just paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and it got me to thinking, why do so many people view bankruptcy as a negative? And what it is it's the mindset that we force ourselves to have that bankruptcy is a bad thing, and it's not. It's actually not. It's a good thing. Bankruptcy exists because stuff happens. Life happens. And I think a lot of Americans need to realize that. I think if more Americans file bankruptcy, maybe the United States government will finally understand that this is not good. We need to fix this. Actually, you know what they would do? They'd probably get rid of the ability to file bankruptcy. That's what they would do. Because they're idiots. Most of those people in politics are idiots. But yeah, I think more Americans should file bankruptcy. Just because I'll hear the stories of people living paycheck to paycheck, and but their mindset is that if I file bankruptcy, that means I failed. But here's the thing: you're one paycheck from failure. You're one paycheck from being homeless. You're one paycheck from losing your car. Maybe you should just go ahead and file bankruptcy. You might be surprised the effect that will have on you, because it can lift a burden off of you. It can relieve stress, and you might overall be just happy. And you'll discover now you have money you can save up. You can save up to buy a car. You can save up to do stuff. So yeah, you should just file bankruptcy. I think more people should file bankruptcy because this living paycheck to paycheck is horrible. It's so stressful. Uh, I'm thinking about it. I have filed bankruptcy before. I was unemployed for a year, could not get a job for nothing. Finally, I reached out to my dad. I was like, Dad, I cannot get a job. And I said, I know such and such works at McDonald's. Can you reach out to him and get me a job? Keep in mind, I was doing IT. Could not get IT work anywhere, at least around where I lived. If I moved away, I could have got IT work. But I didn't want to move away. I was home. I was trying to get my bearing again, and I ended up working at McDonald's for a year or two. But I had to use connections to get a job at McDonald's because they wouldn't hire me. It's like, well, you got all this stuff. That's why we won't hire you. I was like, I know, but I just need a job. Give me a freaking job. And, I was killing it at McDonald's. I even became assistant manager in under a year. But, yeah, it was just like, it was ridiculous that I had to use connections. But then, even though I had a job, I still couldn't pay my bills. So it's like, finally, like, you know what? I can't pay my bills. I'm going to have to file bankruptcy and start over. And now it's like, I wish I had the money back then. Because prices have gone up a lot. So if prices would go back down, then we'd be good. But they're no time soon are they going back down. But yeah, I think people misunderstand the benefits of bankruptcy. So as a result, they view it as a negative thing. And really you shouldn't. There's different types of bankruptcy, usually for individuals, or not necessarily individuals, but for the public, for the general public. Usually Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 is what people usually file. Chapter 7, it wipes out everything. It's usually the best way to go if you can do it. But it varies from state to state. You have to meet certain guidelines, live below a certain level of income, and you can do Chapter 7. If you live above a certain income, it'd be Chapter 13. So if I was doing it now, I'd probably be 13. When I originally did it, it was 7. So yeah, the downside to making more money is which version you would file. But I do think more people should do it, especially now. I mean, I do know more Americans are filing bankruptcy because it's just hard times out there. And here's the thing. There are a lot of people you may not even realize are filing bankruptcy. Like your neighbor could be filing bankruptcy and you wouldn't even know it. And you thinking they're living their best life. Here they were living paycheck to paycheck and you didn't even know it. And now they filed bankruptcy and you see them with a brand new car and you're like, how did they get a new car? It's like, what are they doing? It's like you realize this person does the same thing as you. And you're like, and you're jealous. It's like, we're living paycheck to paycheck. And you don't realize they're living paycheck to paycheck. And they just filed bankruptcy and started over. Oh, excuse me. Now, the thing with Chapter 13, you still make payments, but at the shortened time frame. It's a weird setup with that one, which is, I don't get it. I think they both should just wipe things out. I don't know, but that's just me. But I think with Chapter 7, they will seize your assets if there's anything of value and sell it. So there's that. With 13, I don't think they bother with seizing assets. They just set up a payment. It's almost like a payment plan, one of those credit counseling things where they set up a payment plan. And what was the other thing? Oh, I was talking about, sorry, my mind shut down for a second. But yeah, your neighbor may be living the same life you're living money-wise, and you just don't know it because they're not showing it like you're not showing it, and they decided in private to go, hey, let's do this bankruptcy thing because we're not making it. And you should go do the same thing. You should go file bankruptcy and start over. A lot of people are afraid of filing bankruptcy because they're afraid to lose everything. That's why you talk to a lawyer. You go talk to a lawyer, they get everything together. Now, some lawyers will do a free consultation and go over it with you. Some will charge you a small fee up front. But either way, talk to a lawyer and they can go more in depth with it. Because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But I know enough to tell you that it is an option. And there's a lot of poor people who think they don't have the money to do it. But Well, one thing I do know when it comes to bankruptcy, some lawyers will pretty much tell you stop paying your bills. Like if it's a bunch of credit card debt, a bunch of this debt or that debt, don't pay it. Come talk to us and we'll take care of it. And because if you think about it, if you stop paying all those bills, you'll have money and you'll be able to pay the lawyer, which sounds crazy, but you'll be able to save up the money to pay the lawyer. So that's one thing you might want to consider if you're going to do it. But here's the thing. If you decide to stop paying your bills, I suggest you commit to doing the bankruptcy because it'll be hard to get caught back up on those bills. So that's one thing you got to consider. If you decide to go that route, usually a lawyer will tell you after you've started paying them, like some will do payment plans. And again, it goes state to state, but bankruptcy lawyers, they can't overcharge you. I think there's a minimum of what they can charge you. And sometimes I think they base that on your income. So that's something else you might want to consider, that they may not charge you as much as you think. So that's why I said, definitely go talk to someone, because living paycheck to paycheck is horrible. And the only way, because I remember watching a video where a guy was talking about he scrimped and saved, cut back on eating out, rounded his own coffee. He cut corners here and there, trying to save money, buying generic, all this stuff. And after a year of doing that, he realized he didn't make a dent in any of his debt. He realized doing all that was pointless. The only way you're going to get out of debt if you have a huge influx of money that you don't have to pay back. Listen to what I said. You need a huge influx of money that you don't have to pay back. That's the problem. A lot of people will go out and get loans to pay off another loan. Go out and get a loan to pay off a credit card. You're trading one debt for another. Stop that. Do not do loans to pay off another loan. It does not work. You're not getting out of debt. You're just transferring the debt. And I think a lot of people miss that. It's like people will take out loans against their retirements, take out loans against this and that. And yes, the payment might be less, but you're still in debt. And I'm guilty of that. I did that too, because I was just like trying to get out of this credit card debt. And it helped to get rid of the credit card, but I still owe the money on my retirement. So it's like, well, that was kind of pointless. Now I still don't have extra money. So it's like, well, that was pointless. And it's just like, yeah. So basically, in some cases, people would probably really need to win the lottery. In other cases, they would need almost like triple their pay in order to get out of debt. Say you're $50,000 in debt, you would need $100,000 to get out of debt. Because you need double the amount of money, or you need a little more than what you're in debt to get out of debt. So, and it needs to be in the amount and it needs to be money that you don't have to pay back or worry about. That's the biggest issue, is that you have people. Every time I see these things, these TV things, I used to think about it. My wife even talked about it. Maybe we should do that. Maybe. And I was like, no, because we're not getting rid of the debt. And even after I did the 401, because I did the 401 a long time ago, or did the loan against my 401 a long time ago. And at the time, I was just stressing over, being in debt. And then after I did it, I was like, that was pointless because I still got the debt. And it's like, why did I do that? Oh, God. But yeah, I think people should definitely look into bankruptcy. Check with your state, look around, see what the rules are, talk to a lawyer. Like I said, a lot of lawyers do free consultations, so find a lawyer that does a free consultation and see if they can explain it more in detail. See if they can figure out which one you do, because a lot of them, what they do is they do the free consultation. They tell you this is how much I would charge you. and they'll let you know up front, hey, we can do a payment plan. Some will do half now, half later. And a lot of them will take half up front and get everything ready. And then once you pay the other half, and sometimes you can do, like I said, you can do payment plans, but they're probably going to do a nice size payment plan. So that way they can get the ball rolling, get things going. But yeah, I think it's something you really should look into. Too many people in this country are living paycheck to paycheck, and unless you're going to win the lottery, which most likely you're not, it's time to just call it quits and go for bankruptcy. Like I said, a lot of people look at bankruptcy as failure, like they failed, and as I pointed out, you're living paycheck to paycheck. So if you're talking failure, you kind of already failed. You're literally just hanging in there barely. Because let's say if you lose a paycheck for whatever reason, you failed. With bankruptcy, you don't lose any paycheck. Yes, your credit's going to take a hit. At this point, screw your credit. No, seriously, screw the credit. You need that peace of mind, and you will discover once you wipe all that out, your peace of mind will be great. And here's the thing with bankruptcy: there are people. Let's take Trump. Trump's done it 3 times, and he's president of the United States. So bankruptcy is not bad. Back in the day before they changed the laws, there were people who filed bankruptcy every 5 years. They would just go file bankruptcy, and I don't suggest doing that. But yeah, sometimes things happen, and you got to decide: are you going to keep struggling, keep fighting, and hoping one day that you'll get out? Because like we would pay off a credit card, and then all of a sudden, like I said, 6 more bills will pop up. It's like we pay off this bill, 6 more bills will pop up. It's like for every bill we paid off, I mean, realistically, for every bill we paid off, 2 or 3 bills will pop up. It's like the car breaks down, a piece of the house falls off, our roof needed repaired, our plumbing needed repaired, our electrical needs repaired, our daughter's going to college. And it's just like stuff like that. It kept getting worse and worse and worse. But yeah. All right. But yeah, those were some things I wanted to touch on. But really quick, back to the Joey Swoll and Sydney Sweeney stuff. That could have been avoided just by ignoring it. The Sydney Sweeney thing, you guys just went overboard with that. You should have just ignored it and moved on. It would have just faded away. No one would have gave a damn about it. Joey Swoll should have kept his mouth shut. In the end, he should have just shut up. He should have just moved on and kept doing his gym stuff. He would have been fine. And that's not to say he can't make a comeback, but yeah. And also with Joey Swoll, I don't know why everyone's so surprised. That's another thing. Why are you so surprised? I'm not. If you actually paid attention, you wouldn't be that surprised. I'm sorry, you just wouldn't. But yeah, and I get people loved his content. He was doing a good thing. The gym culture is getting out of hand, and there were times he did overstep. And the problem was a lot of times they would call Joey out for the racism, but the videos they would use weren't good examples. Because there's the one where the black woman was doing something, and she was 100% in the wrong if you watch the video. And people called him out for it, and attacking her. And it's like, she was in the wrong. She yelled at that person for walking in front of her camera in a public gym. If that had been me, I would come back, took the camera, and smashed the hell out of it. It's like, don't you yell at me. And then that one black guy who put his arm on that one guy, talking about, no. Oh, his arm would have been snapped. I would have just hit the back of his elbow, spun it in the wrong direction. Like, you don't put your hands on me. I don't know you. You don't know me. So, yeah, those were bad examples. So, I've never watched all his videos and have never had any plans of doing so. So, if you got better examples, that would be, you should have picked out better examples. And probably could have got him canceled sooner. Who knows? But one thing I will say, there are so many black people who are defending Joey, and it's like, what is wrong with you? And the worst part, there was one recently guy talking about, there's he said this guy beat a guy half to death. No one said anything about that. And someone said, well, speak on it. And then he made a follow-up video being an ass. Like, dude, you can't call someone out and then someone says speak on it. You know, that means tell us about it. Instead, you double down being an ass. So it's like no one's going to take you seriously. Jesus. It's like, I hate people like that. It's like you're going to deflect and call someone else out. It's like, well, tell us about it. And then you're just going to be like, I ain't got to tell you nothing. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, what the hell? You brought it up. All right. But in the end, file bankruptcy. Sometimes it's best to ignore stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't ignore everything, but sometimes it is best to ignore stuff and just move on. And again, you know, living paycheck to paycheck is very stressful. Don't do it. File bankruptcy. Move on with your life. Because you'll lose all that stress in a heartbeat. Once you realize you don't have to pay those bills anymore, your life is going to be so much better. But other than that, everyone take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Usually I say, don't forget to like and subscribe. Everyone take care. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. Everyone take care. Later.